Okay, so I'm typically all in on E3 hype, like crazy game trailer reveals, here for it. Though I will say I've only ever lost my mind at 2 different game reveals. The second one was the Kingdom Hearts 3 reveal at E3 2013. The first, however, was the complete bombshell, at least for me, of an announcement that we were getting a brand new Sly Cooper game for the PlayStation 3. Writing this video in 2021, the 6-year gap between the release of Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves on PS2 in 2005 up to this trailer in 2011 seems so negligible at this point, but hey, I was excited. I loved the original Sly trilogy. Loved. And I still do. I mean, hey, I've already done a video literally covering everything Sly Cooper save for Thieves in Time. Jump on over and watch it real quick before this one, just an FYI. Back then, I honestly wasn't expecting a new Sly Cooper game to come along. Oh god, this was 10 years ago. Like, Ratchet & Clank had made the jump to PS3 and kept jumping, but Jak and Daxter and Sly Cooper were sadly left trapped on the PS2. Since Sucker Punch was off infamousing it up, Sanzaru Games took over as the developers of the next title in the Sly series. At this point, Sanzaru hadn't developed much, most notably having worked on the PS2 port of Secret Agent Clank. However, Sanzaru was nothing if not ambitious, and presented a prototype engine of what they thought could be a new Sly Cooper game since Sucker Punch was busy. Sony approved, which led to Sanzaru being the lead developers on the Sly Collection, the HD remasters of the original PS2 games. Subsequently, Sony greenlit a 4th entry, and well, here we are. So, how is it? Now don't get me wrong, I still think it's a great game, but I don't think it would be controversial for me to say it's the weakest in the series. Let's get into it. Thieves in Time actually picks up right where Sly 3 left off. Oh, spoilers, by the way, for the whole series. Sly has faked amnesia and has become the crime-fighting partner of Carmelita Fox as Bentley works on a time machine for, you know, fun. It's really cool that this game actually follows the previous entries, like a few years, a new developer. This easily could have been a soft reboot of the series, so props to Sanzaru. The story goes is that the notes and words of the Thievius Raccoonus, Sly's family history all gathered together in one big tome, are vanishing from the pages. The Cooper family history is being erased. Soon after, Penelope, Bentley's mouse girlfriend and Cooper gang member from Sly 3, disappears as well. With no answers, Bentley is forced to reform the Cooper gang of him, Murray, and Sly to travel back in time and figure out just what the heck is going on. While the Sly games, specifically 2 and 3, always had some solid storytelling, truth be told, these were never complex narratives by design. We always got these fun 2D animated cutscenes to elaborate on what's happening, but they were mainly placed at the beginning and end of chapters or episodes to help transition us to a new location. That's not to say they weren't good stories, I love them. It's that fun Saturday morning cartoon feel. Oh god, saying Saturday morning cartoons is now a dated reference. 2020 may be over, but the 2021 drinking has only just begun. Now, Thieves in Time's narrative isn't that much different. Instead of just globetrotting to fight Claw gang members or recruiting various people into your gang, Thieves in Time's episodes each take place in a different time period, like feudal Japan to start off with, all the way to ancient Arabia towards the end. It makes for some exciting hub worlds that are all completely different from each other. There's always the worry that we'd just be treading the same narrative ground here, but Thieves in Time throws in a lot more interpersonal character conflict throughout the journey, which makes the big picture events a little more personal. That it involves Sly's own ancestry helps too. So on paper, story good, but in execution though, oh boy. Ask any Sly Cooper fan you know, literally any one of them, they'll tell you. Thieves in Time story is not very good. Like, not at all. Painting with broad strokes here, I'm sure there's plenty of people who like it, but everything is just kind of off. They're still good here though, you know, the characters themselves are fine. For the most part. And there is stuff that works, specifically Sly and Carmelita's relationship. It's everything else that just feels kind of basic and in some cases really, really bad. One specific case, actually. Might as well go ahead and address the elephant in the room.
Romantic nights on the Riviera!
Not that one. Let's talk about Penelope. So the big eventual reveal is that this skunk here, Le Paradox, believes his family was robbed of thieving greatness by the Coopers, so he's sending his cronies back in time, stealing the Cooper canes, and making it so any kind of thieving history from the Raccoonus is erased permanently. This includes El Jefe, a tiger, Miss Decibel, an admittedly fun, stuck-up elephant with a trumpet stuck in her trunk, Toothpick, an armadillo with an anger problem, the Grizz, a street artist grizzly bear who's uncomfortably voiced by a white dude, and Penelope. Yeah, Penelope's a villain now. For reasons. Oh, it's so fucking baffling. Penelope in the third game was a fellow nerd like Bentley, had a simple crush on Sly, and then after being saved by Bentley from the pirate Captain Lafouille, realized her true feelings for the turtle. Even though she had limited screen time in the overall series, she was a fun character who was resourceful with her RC chopper and car skills, while also joking around, just being a fun character that served also as a good compliment to Bentley. There were no hints of animosity toward the Cooper gang or any ulterior motives. Then suddenly, bam, villain. Her reasoning? Apparently Bentley has wasted potential working with Sly. They could make millions off their own work. Like, where the hell did this come from? I get wanting a twist in your story, I do, but if you don't lay any kind of groundwork narratively for this twist to make sense, it's just empty. It means nothing. All it does is just assassinate this character for no reason other than to surprise the player. The Penelope twist almost single-handedly ruins the story for me. Like, it's so poorly executed, I am stunned that they didn't make any kind of changes to make it function better. Like, sure, make Penelope a villain. I disagree, but there are ways to make it work. Like, you could have laid down more foundation to make the villain turn much more convincing. But nope, they just sex up her character design, putting a pin in that for later, have her disappear, and then this.
That thing's almost as stuffy as Bentley.
You cost me too much already, Cooper. It's time to pay the fiddler.
I'm nobody's puppet. Too bad I can't say the same for you.
I never thought I'd be upset about a nerdy cartoon mouse of all things, but here we are. Let's move on. Man, I've never seen a twist like this so poorly done. No motivation, just none of it rings true. They also super telegraph the twist in the medieval chapter she's the villain in. Why are the Black Knights, Black Baron, subtitles pink? Well, after traveling through various time periods and while defeating the villains, failing to keep the various Cooper ancestors' canes from being taken, the gang ends up back in present-day Paris where Le Paradox, yeah, because time paradox, time travel humor, great Scott, Michael J. Fox, accidentally causes a rip in the space-time continuum. As you do. Le Paradox's big time blimp, did I forget to mention the big time blimp? It's delightful in its absurdity, comes crashing down and Sly goes missing. And the game ends. Yeah, unfortunately we get a cliffhanger ending here. To this day, we still haven't saved Sly. If you 100% the game, you get this bonus scene of Sly waking up in ancient Egypt, but that's it. Sanzaru did reveal they had a DLC episode scripted with Sly in Egypt, but unfortunately Sony never gave the green light to make it. Will we ever get a conclusion ever? It sucks, but hey, this is where we're at. I've touched on the future of the Sly series in my previous video, but yeah, Sly's stuck in Egypt and the gang is trying their best to find him. 9 years on. It's such a shame the story for Thieves in Time is so lackluster. Again, there are good moments here. I genuinely enjoy all the interactions Sly has with his ancestors, especially Tennessee, and a mid-game twist that actually works involving going back to prehistoric times to discover the very first previously unknown Cooper. It's sheer joy. His name is Bob and I love him. It's just the rest of the game. Penelope, this by the numbers arc where Murray decides he has no place in the Cooper gang and just kind of gets over it eventually. Penelope, Carmelita is turned into a damsel in distress half the time. Penelope, you get it. A mixed bag, erring close to a negative one. Also, sidebar, you can find Clockwork hiding around in the hub worlds. It's terrifying, but also a really cool Easter egg. So, story's not great, but remember, I did say earlier this is a good game. I swear it is. Just keep watching and subscribe and smash that like button and ring that notification bell to get notifications. Put simply, if you've played Sly 2 and or Sly 3, you've played Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. In a smart decision, Sanzaru basically keeps what worked in previous entries and throws it into your PS3, Spider-Man font or otherwise. Look, when this game came out, I saw numerous people express disappointment that the gameplay was dated simply because it played similar to the PS2 games and like, yeah, that's the point? The classic statement, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just because something reminds you of something that's old doesn't automatically make it bad. You got your running, jumping hitting the circle button, climbing, pickpocketing, the works. It's all here from the originals and it all works mostly just as well. I do feel like Sly's jumping is a little more stiff than it was in the original games, but it only takes a little bit to adjust to. It's not all the same though, to be clear. This time, along with Bentley, Murray, and Carmelita returning as playable characters, we get Sly's ancestors as well. They all have similar control schemes as Sly, naturally, but they each get their own special ability that makes them a little different and worth playing as. Ryoichi Cooper specialized the ninja-spired jump, so he can also leap great distances between 2 points. Sir Galeth the Knight can sling himself up walls, Bob Cooper can climb walls OG Kratos style, Salim Al-Kupar can zoom up poles, and Tennessee, my personal favorite, uses his gun cane, a very Final Fantasy of him, and operates as a surprisingly competent third-person shooter with a Red Dead-style Deadeye system, lets you slow down time and hit multiple targets in a row. It's fun stuff. Yeah, the ancestors don't control extremely differently, but they're fun to play, as simple as that. The Sly games are known for their gameplay variety, and this one's no exception. Speaking of variety, we still get various minigames like previous entries as well. The RC car mix return now with new stealth chicken attachment, love it, along with some rhythm games. Ever wanted to see Murray in a geisha outfit trying to seduce a group of guards as a distraction? No? Well, you get it anyway.
Konnichiwa! I am the most famous Madam Geisha!
I really don't know what to make of this. Hacking makes a return too, but I didn't enjoy it as much this time around. In the previous games, hacking stuck strictly to this top-down twin-stick shooter type scenarios, and I personally thought they were great fun. But in Thieves in Time, we now have 3 different hacking minigames. The shooter one returns and is still good, but you also get this auto-scroller one that really is a bit of a chore to play. You gather power-ups throughout each section to upgrade your weapons as you move along, but when you get hurt, not only do you lose health, but your power-ups get knocked down a level as well. Makes for a bit of an annoying mechanic. Not a fan, but thankfully they still really aren't that difficult. Finally, the third hacking minigame involves rolling this ball here through a series of little obstacle courses. Sort of monkey ball-ish, simple enough, but you use the 6-axis motion control to move it. 6-axis. Well, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. God, remember the 6-axis? Like, every launch PS3 game had some gimmicky motion bed that made you tilt the PS3 controller to balance things or move them around. The tornado weapon and Ratchet & Clank tools of destruction. The weird log balancing in Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Thankfully, the 6-axis fell out of favor real quick. Except this game came out in 2013. The end of the PS3 era. Yeah, it's weird. Thieves in Time really feels sort of like a launch PS3 game. Not a criticism necessarily, mind you, but this weird 6-axis reliance, it's just certainly a choice. Really, the motion controls are really not that big of a deal. It's just odd. There are other minor gameplay gripes I have too. Bentley now has a plethora of different kinds of weapons and bombs at his disposal, choosing from a little pop-up menu to cycle through them. That's okay. Unfortunately though, you now can't do the quick 1-2 punch of putting a guard to sleep and dropping a bomb on them without cycling through the menus to make your choices. It makes Bentley a bit clunky to play as with all the constant stopping and starting to scroll through many different weapon types. On the bright side though, the game provides us with some really great boss battles. Here we get multiple scenarios that are a lot of fun, from a traditional brawl with El Jefe to dodging musical notes from Miss Decibel. I really enjoyed most of them. Not as pitiful as that mustache. The final fight is a quick time event. It's fine, it's cool looking, but only a quick time event? Like, we should have gotten some normal gameplay here at least. So overall, the gameplay is solid. Some really good stuff. Some weird things here and there, but nothing that hurts the overall experience. Sorry, I'm still mad about Penelope. Simply put, the game looks great. Sucker Punch's choices to go with a cel-shaded art style was such a great decision in the beginning. It allowed the world of Sly to have such a timeless look that the visuals would hold up for years to come. Sure, the Sly Collection shows its age a bit with its animation and cutscenes, but overall, it looks wonderful. And it's even better in Thieves in Time. The generation jump visually is immediately evident. Environments are denser, characters look as high-res as they've ever been, and it all just looks nice. Like, yeah, going from the PS2, this looks like next-gen Sly Cooper. It's by no means the best-looking PS3 game ever, but it works really well. Having the different time periods is a serious benefit too. Every level looks so different from the last that nothing ever really grows stale visually. The bright deserts of the Wild West, the snow tundras of prehistoric times, the night medieval sky, there's a lot to look at and it all looks great. A big standout too are the animated cutscenes. The Sly series has always had them, but they never had that high production value, save for those bonus anime ones in the original game. But now we get these wonderfully animated sequences straight out of a TV show in Thieves in Time, and they come pretty damn frequently. I'd almost argue there were actually too many of these cutscenes that over-explain the straightforward plot of the game, but they're also charming, so it's good. I mean, at this point, you should be able to tell the game looks great, and there's really no denying that. Heck, the Vita port's pretty solid too. Remember the PlayStation Vita? Rest in peace, my sweet baby angel. Yeah, quick sidebar. Thieves in Time got a PlayStation Vita port. It was even part of Sony's cool but short-lived initiative where if you bought the PS3 copy of the game, you'd get the Vita version digitally for free. Sly Cooper was one of the first and best titles to include this feature. There were also less good titles that did this as well. Obviously, the Vita port wasn't as good as the PS3 version, no big surprise, but it ran well enough, just with slightly chunkier graphics and a lower frame rate. Solid effort, but back to the overall presentation. In gameplay itself, the game runs really well, and the multiple times I've played Thieves in Time, I've never encountered a crash or even slowdown really. It just works. However, unfortunately, that comes at the detriment of load times. This thing has just god-awful load times. And unlike in previous Sly games, you're automatically sent back to the safe house after every mission, which discourages extra exploration, but whatever. So if you want to go back into the giant hubs, guess what? Load screen. It's a bummer. Like, it can take 20 seconds or more before you get out into the hub, and God forbid you accidentally select the wrong character and have to go back in to switch them. At first, it's not a big deal, but it gets old real quick. Again, graphics good. Some of the character design, however, remember that pin I put in about Penelope's character design? Bad. Yeah, what's up with some of the character design for the women in this game, Sanzaru? Like, Penelope went from this to this. Just sexed her up real quick. She was a nerdy girl. They decided to change her into an extremely tall, skinny jumpsuit wearing... What? Same goes for Carmelita. While her design has always been a bit suggestive previously, they've switched out her pants for a skirt and made her way more curvy. It just strikes me as odd. Coupled with the fact that Carmelita is a damsel in distress multiple times throughout the game, along with having a minigame where she dresses up and does this. Yeah, that's 6-axis implementation for her shaking hips. Seriously. I feel a bit silly talking about cartoon character design, but when there's weird changes like this, specifically to the female characters, it just rings false to me. Like, if you're gonna redesign everyone, sure, that's great, but really, they're the only ones who look different. Sure, Murray's snout is a bit larger, but that's it. Interesting. Overall, it's a minor thing, but it still really bugs me. Like, God, they really do Penelope dirty in this game. And this. Yeah, this game isn't as kid-friendly as previous entries as well. It's just a lot more suggestive. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with that, it just doesn't feel as true to the Saturday morning cartoon ethos of previous entries. Sly doesn't need to be more edgy, y'all. He's a thieving raccoon. It's silly. It's fine. I talked about this in my last Sly Cooper video, but it's now been over a year, so... where do we go from here? As of 2021, when this video has been uploaded, we still have no idea when anything new Sly Cooper is coming. There was always hope that Sanzaru would get to finish their story and at the very least complete the DLC episode, but they're now owned by Oculus and Mark Zuckerberg's murder eye, so I don't see that happening anytime soon. There are calls for Sly to return, with hashtag Free Sly from Egypt being one campaign I've seen pop up online. While at this point, I'd prefer revivals of series that are still trapped in the PS2 era like Jak and Daxter or Ape Escape, I would wholeheartedly welcome a new Sly game. I mean, the original trilogy is a childhood favorite, with Sly 2 specifically one of my favorite games of all time. Sly 3 comes close. There's the movie that was announced, but canceled. Then there was the rumored TV show, and, well, we still don't know what's happening there. At this point, I'm guessing it never left pre-production, but hey, I'm happy to be proven wrong. Yeah, we're just here, twiddling our thumbs, just waiting for anything to be announced. What about the comics? The comics are great. Do more comics. Unless a new studio comes around, Sucker Punch returning to the franchise would be our best bet. But it seems they're firmly in Ghost of Tsushima land now, and honestly, that's okay. Ghost is great. Even got some Sly Easter eggs in there. Hey, they remember. It's such a shame for it to be a year later and still no news, but you know what? Thieves in Time is good. I mean, issues, but I still replay it. What's here works, and save for some weird character choices, I'll never be over it. Sanzaru carried the Sly legacy quite well, I think. Seriously, big props to them. They took the initiative and brought Sly back on the PS3 and Vita, like this wouldn't have happened without them. Praise them, damn it. And that concludes the Sly Cooper series for now. Sly wouldn't appear in anything else other than as a playable character in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, so there's that, I guess. Until next time, I'm Faux. Not yet. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have finally covered everything there is in Sly Cooper. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to my little channel here if you're new. If you want more Sly Cooper content, I have my aforementioned video on the Sly trilogy from a while back, so check that out. And for other platforms, I stream 5 days a week over on Twitch if you want to see me live, so check the description below for a link. Anyway, that's all from me for now. See you all again soon, and have a good one. I don't think it would be controversial to further... 2020 may be over, but the 20... Can't do props. Oh boy. Oh boy. No. Jesus. But Sony never... I really don't know what to make of this, other than a voice crack. 6-axis. It's a name I haven't heard in a long time. This is so stupid. 6-axis. Now that's a game. A game? Okay. Oh, here comes the Vita. It's Dusty. Oh, jeez. Why did I do this to you, my sweet baby child? The Sly Cooper Collection. Oh, you can't see that. The Sly Cooper Collection game is still in the Vita. I love it. Rest in peace, my sweet baby angel. Is that not the nastiest lip print you've ever seen? Oh, God. I feel a bit silly and unqualified to talk about cartoon character design. Oh my God.